Hi, this is Cab, and this is a video about price evolution over the course of a challenge league in Path of Exile. I did make an earlier video on this, and a lot of people just said I was stating the obvious. So if you're one of those people, you already know everything, so no need to watch this video, I guess. Moving on to the first graph, looking at X prices. Start off at the left hand side and maybe look at the blue line. If you find an X in day 1 or 2 or 3, you have an interesting choice. If you're a good player, you're probably going to sell it for chaos to buy good gear, and that will allow you to get ahead of other people, and you'll make that back the money later on pretty easily. If you're an average player like me, you'll probably hold on to the X and maybe sell it after about a week, where it'll be worth twice as much. For hardcore, which is the orange line, the interesting thing here is just how low the price is in chaos orbs. 30, 20 chaos for a few weeks. The last data point in this graph it's at 91 days. The leagues generally last for 90 days. The last data point is the pricing standard at the end of the league. So you can always, for these graphs, look at the last data point and see whether or not it was a good idea to carry these items over into standard or not. In this case, for softcore, you pretty much broke even. So moving on to divine orbs, the price starts off extremely low and it climbed, in this case, very slowly. That surprised me. Now, what happened was, in standard, the price fell from 30 to about 22C, and that happened starting about on day 10 through to day sort of 25 of the league. Because divine orb prices are kind of average now in standard at 22C, next league these lines might be a little bit steeper, and the flat area might be sort of towards the end, like from day 60 to 90. Moving on to the next graph, so this is a unique, the Skyforce, one of the most expensive uniques in the game. And it's interesting that in the case of this league, they were very cheap around day 10, around day sort of 5 to 15, they were very cheap. Now for hardcore, the exalted orb price was changing pretty radically. You can refer to the first graph to check that. So that affected things. But if you could somehow get the sort of 10 to 20x to buy a pair in the first 2 weeks, then you're going to make a lot of money pretty quickly. Oh, in this graph, what I did was I converted the hardcore prices to chaos for Skyforce once again. This takes out the the big changes in exalted prices. I mean, you could also say chaos orbs are changing in price, I guess. But so you can see you can buy Skyforce for about 700 to 500 chaos for about 2 weeks in hardcore, and then it starts to steadily climb. I even suggested last video that you could feasibly buy Skyforce just by chaos farming. Next map is Chevron's Wrappings. Not a whole lot to say. These are the ask prices, so where there's that big spike that hits 30x, it doesn't mean anyone paid that much, it just means that was the cheapest one listed at the time. But it looked like it was fairly stable around 14, 15 chaos, X in hardcore, and 8 to 5x in softcore. Heretic's Veil, not really sure why I chose this one. I think this graph captures the decline of Heretic's Veil as a sort of in vogue meta item. It's still valuable at 2x, but to see it go down from what it used to be up around 4 or 5x to 2x is an indication people just aren't using it as much.